Japan approves first human-animal embryo experiments. So it's been in the news recently that, as you can see, human-animal embryo experiments has now been approved in Japan. Now, like we covered in a previous video, back in, I believe, 2016, MIT already revealed how human-animal chimeras were gestating in American farms. But now it's gone to a whole nother level. According to Nature.com, a Japanese stem cell scientist is the first to receive government support to create animal embryos that contain human cells and transplant them into surrogate animals since a ban on the practice was overturned earlier this year. Hirotomitsu Nakaguchi, who leads a team at the University of Tokyo and Stanford University in California, plans to grow human cells in a mouse and rat embryos and then transplant those embryos into surrogate animals. Nakaguchi's ultimate goal is to produce animals with organs made of human cells that can and eventually be transplanted into people. Now, while we're all about science and advancing genetic engineering and technology, I think we need to be aware of things like this, because when mankind as a whole can't even respect animals, and they surely don't respect all of human life either, I think we're opening up a slippery slope when it comes to animal-human hybrids, because look at the lack of rights that they already show animals on factory farms. Look at the lack of rights certain humans have within our various countries, the United States, Europe, the Middle East. We could go on all day how there's injustice across the board, whether animal or human alike. Now imagine how awful it will be when the creatures they're experimenting on will be perceived not even human and or animal, because it's in a gray area when it comes to the laws. Look at how they even reference stuff like this. But getting human cells to grow in another species is not easy, Nakaguchi and colleagues announced at the 2018 American Association for the Advancement of Science meeting in Austin, Texas, that they had put human iPS cells into sheep embryos that had been engineered not to produce a pancreas, but the hybrid embryos grows for 28 days, contain very few human cells and nothing resembling organs. This is probably because of the genetic distance between human and sheep, says Nakaguchi. As you can see next, the article also states, it doesn't make sense to bring human-animal hybrid embryos to term using evolutionary distant species, such as pigs and sheep, because the human cells will be eliminated from host embryos early on, says Jun Wu, who researches human-animal chimeras at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas. Understanding the molecular basis and developing strategies to overcoming this barrier will be necessary to move forward in the field, Wu says. As you can see, we're already going to be in slippery slopes. As we know, forms of cloning has been going on since the late 1800s. We covered that before. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it in the description. The government has had human DNA, has been cloning on record, and as we most likely know, off record for a long time. And while I'm not saying we shouldn't research into these avenues, I think we have to take great care and be mindful to respect the life that they're dabbling with. Chimeras is nothing new in the alchemic world. Alchemists of old have been merging and creating strange creatures. But if we dive into a more conspiratorially focused angle, how many of you remember the alien hybrids and creatures reported like over 10 years ago and even further, or the Dulce, New Mexico aliens? As you can see, mainstream articles even make jokes of this, but just a quick Wikipedia. If you're wondering, Dulce Base is the subject of a conspiracy theory claiming that a jointly operated human and alien underground facility exists under Archuleta Mesa in the Colorado-New Mexican border near the town of Dulce, New Mexico in the United States. Here you go, you have all these articles: Express.uk, Curiosity, Disclose TV, stuff they don't want you to know. But I remember this a long time ago, as you can see back in 2011, Philip Snyder talking about his experience when he was fighting and going to battle with the aliens under the base. We also, we'll just stop right there. We can see the various articles have covered this. New life forms that they'll be making. Of course, you have these various websites covering it, some making jokes how Japan will be making cat girls, and like an anime where you have these human animal creatures. But I think as a society, people need to be mindful of what they're doing to the life, and respect that life, and dig a little bit deeper into the ethics before certain things are approved. Sure, that might not stop some radical locations from going and committing these potential atrocities, but who knows? Only time will tell. We already know what they do with even aborted fetuses, and how that stem cell research, while it may sound intriguing and benign at first glance, unspeakable horrors could be going on behind the scenes. But this won't be any doom and gloom, and I won't get too conspiratorial on this video. Just figured I would update you on what this piece of alchemical news technically is going on around the world. This has been an update for Dragon Star Alchemy. If you like to know the latest happenings in the science world that relate to alchemy, esoteric, or the occult, then make sure you subscribe to Dragon Star Alchemy. And if you're already subscribed, thank you. Don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss any notifications. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Will these clones, will these human animal embryo chimeras cause problems? Is this an ethical concern? How would you regulate these experimentations while furthering the scientific study? Sometimes man's quest to play God will land them in a more detrimental predicament than they started in. For when they realize there's a big difference between playing God and being God.